Hey guys, welcome back to World of Warships. We have another buffed ship to take a look at here with update 13.1, the Hayate. This is a ship I have really not played all that much. I actually only just got it on my main account thanks to this buff. Just look at that damage into a Marceau. 2 salvos, nearly 7,000 damage. And then the little chip damage there bumped us up to nearly 8. That's pretty impressive. That is something this ship was always capable of doing. That is not the buff, but that alpha damage is very, very nice. The buff that this ship got, though, was a bit of a reload buff, so getting us a few more salvos in, which is always appreciated. But the key here is having access to torpedo reload booster and smoke at the same time. That's huge. So I'm finding myself actually really enjoying the Hayate. I don't really play much Shimakaze these days just because it lacks the gunpowder, and as much fun as some of those torp salvos can be, it's just not worth it for me to play because I often find myself wanting to gunboat or go fight enemy DDs, that kind of thing. Hayate, though, gives me that feeling of Shimakaze devastating torpedo salvos while also allowing me to actually gunfight some DDs. It's really nice. Get more HP as well compared to a Shimakaze, so I'm actually enjoying this ship quite a bit with this buff. Keep in mind, I didn't play this thing all that much prior to this buff, so my perspective can't really take that into account, but hey, pretty nice to be able to just strike an unsuspecting Alsace. I will say we got pretty fortunate in this one that we killed off the enemy DD in the decap, and we had a clear shot straight through to the enemy spawn. You're always going to have a good time with that as a torpedo boat. But having this smoke is really nice. I dropped a smoke for our Kleber that was following behind me, and he was able to farm out that Seattle, trying to get rid of that radar while I was spotting for him. So just a really nice, flexible boat now. Our consummate is quite a bit worse than the Shimakaze, though, so I understand if that feels a little bit bad. But finally having some good turret traverse on some Japanese DD guns is very nice. I know there's the Hiraguma line as well, but on a ship that feels a little bit more like the standard Japanese DDs. It still has some good turret traverse, and with this DPM can do some pretty nasty things. The alpha damage, very good, of course, as I've always mentioned on the AG here, but 10% fire chance as well. That is no joke, so you can farm things pretty well, especially if you pop a damage control with some of your torpedoes, something like that. You're going to get some guaranteed follow-up fires pretty quickly. The range is a bit of an issue, so I have ran range mod on this one, but it's a little tricky to use, so maybe not even worth running range mod. I'll have to try that out, but just because the shell velocity isn't all that great at these longer ranges. But it's so nice to be able to just have a slightly more flexible Japanese DD, where we have that torpedo power, like I said, like I've already showed, but here also having access to a smoke screen when you get yourself in trouble. This extra turret traverse is pretty nice. Of course, we'll have to rank all of these ships eventually when it comes to the coal ships and coal destroyers. We'll get to that later. I want to get through some of the steel ships first. Don't worry, we will be getting back to that sort of content. Just want to take a look at some of the changes with update 13.1. Dodge the torpedoes from the Shimakaze, but we actually run into the Shima while we're trying to hit this rune and doing a pretty poor job of aiming, if I'm honest. And the Holland pops up behind us as well, so we're in a not great position here. So we really do want to smoke up, otherwise this Shimakaze will get some free spotting and shots in on us. Luckily dodging the torpedoes, not the most nimble ship in the world. It's pretty big for that extra HP you get. You certainly are a little bit higher out of the water, a little wider ship than the Shimakaze. At least that's kind of the feeling I'm getting. But having this DPM, man, it's just so nice to have on a Japanese destroyer. And that alpha damage, man, so good. Getting opportunities like this is always going to be the bread and butter of a hybrid DD, or one that can use its guns but isn't solely focused on open water gunboating. Unfortunately, I think our Kleber ate a Holland torp there. He was on like half health and then suddenly just died. So I don't think Holland DPM is quite that good. So unfortunately ate a torpedo. So we're just going to dump a few torps towards the Holland and then go fight this Shimakaze. We don't want to just play passive in our smoke, especially with us basically winning this game already, let's be honest with you. So if you have had the Hayate before, and you've tried it out with this buff, let me know how significant it is. I have a feeling that the reload isn't all that much of a change. It certainly feels pretty nice for me coming to this ship fresh with this alpha and the reload, but I think having access to both of these consumables, that smoke and that torpedo reload booster, just might push this ship over the edge for some people who want a little more torpedo power while still retaining that safety net of a smoke screen or the offensive firepower of a smoke, right? Where we're allowed to actually gunboat and farm things without giving up that torpedo presence. Just like that, taking out a Holland as well. It's nasty, man. I'm going to be pretty scared to find a Hayate coming up in my gunboat DDs or any sort of destroyer. I kind of underestimated the alpha damage of this ship combined with a pretty decent reload now. Once we get some AR, of course, here, we're getting a 2.5 second reload with this alpha damage. That's pretty good. But yeah, the shell velocity, bit of a weak point here, even into this rune. So range mod, not the best for hitting DDs or cruisers, but I guess I'll probably stick with it just so I can farm those battleships a little bit easier from longer ranges. Not hard, of course, to hit a battleship. They are so big, and at this tier have pretty massive superstructures to do pretty good damage to. It's just a nice, comfy utility ship now. I think that's what it comes down to for me. I want that out of a DD. I want that flexibility to do some damage at range with my guns, also damage into DDs with my guns, and also retain that nice alpha strike potential of the torpedoes. That's kind of what I want out of a DD. So I'm looking forward to playing some more Hayate. 4-kill game here, quick little one. I got one more clip here to show you guys just to really emphasize what a ship like this can do if you're trying to out-duel an enemy DD. In this case, it is another Hayate. So I don't know how he spotted. I guess our sub was spotting him. So I was hoping then that I could use my smoke to get some free damage in. But that means we no longer have our smoke screen available to us. Fortunately, he popped his as well. So how do you deal with a situation like this? If you have the room to maneuver, you don't want to just sit in your smoke. Easy way to get torped that way. Cutting forward here, notice the enemy Hayate kind of chilling in his smoke here a little bit. We're not going to shoot because we know he's about to go back into his smoke. But I'm really trying to position my ship in a way where I'm going to spot him coming out of his smoke and where he's going to be forced to turn broadside to my team and myself while I'm ready to be angled away. So just notice how much less damage I'm going to be taking from his team compared to the damage he takes from my team. Salem here, pretty close range, 10 kilometers out from a Salem. That's pretty scary stuff. And yet our DPM combined with our teammates' help here, who are pretty close but a little farther away, managed to take him down pretty easily. That's what's so nice about having some more of this DPM. I'm comparing to Shima, which I don't really play all that much because I don't feel confident in my ability to do that. I'm more reliant on my teammates' firepower if I'm doing that kind of DD hunting role compared to this ship where I actually have that ability to hit people pretty hard with these main guns. Even here, hitting the bow, just the bow there, 2,800 damage. Feels pretty good. I ain't gonna lie, it feels pretty good. So Hayate, pretty interesting pickup for Cole now. Interesting because this ship used to be free XP. No more do we have those free XP ships. Nice little torpedo into the gearing there. Yeah, these torps do insane damage. So if you manage to hit a DD, you're probably going to kill one just because the alpha damage is so high. And right at the end here, looking at a Colombo just to farm him just a little bit ourselves. Open water gunboating could be a role for this ship, but I don't think it's necessarily what it's best at. I'd probably try to find areas where I can use my smoke or islands a little bit more. Situations where the enemy isn't kiting from us, let's say, trying to find areas where people are pushing into us. Of course, that's where torpedo boats are going to do their best work. But also if you want to set up in a smoke and farm, that's going to be a good way to do it as well. Not even going to dodge because it's a Colombo and we don't respect Italian dispersion. And he gets like 2 hits. Sorry, a little disrespectful to the Italian battleships here, but man, they gave me a rough week last week, so I gotta get that in here and there. Not the best damage, of course, but hey, going after DDs and killing them is gonna give you some pretty nice base XP, so we end up second on our team there. Not too bad. Now, I'm not sure if this camo is readily available, but it certainly helps that this ship looks so good while you're playing it as well with this camo. The base camo is fine as well, but I mean, I'm sorry to kind of focus on the cosmetics here. Base camo is fine, but they certainly did a pretty nice job with this one. The build that I was running looked like this. I'm actually giving up Superintendent just because the reload on that torpedo reload booster is so long that getting to use 4, not the most likely thing in the world. And I would rather have a little more DPM there from our main guns. I suppose I could run Fearless Brawler instead, give up Consumable Specialist as well as main battery. Get Fearless Brawler, 10% instead of 5% DPM. But this 5% applies when I'm in my smoke or behind islands like that too, so bit of a trade-off there. Certainly running Superintendent could be useful, but still, getting through all 3 consumables like that can be tough. Although there are certainly games where I do want that 4th smoke, and I happen to not have it. Feels pretty bad. Running reload here, because we are taking range on our commander. I guess I could give up range on the commander and take Fearless Brawler. That might be an idea going forward here, because 14 kilometers of range, a little difficult to use with this shell velocity. Concealment on both the commander and our upgrades, of course, that lands us at 6.1 kilometers. So if you're used to that Shimakaze 5.6 detect, this could be a little painful, but at least our guns are upgraded to compensate for that. I feel much more confident in a Hayate, even with the slightly worse concealment. I don't mind taking some of those gunfights. Although, running into some of the more powerful gunboat DDs at this tier could be rough. Kaba, for example, could be rough. Sherman, but at least we outspot those. But things like a Daring, man. A Daring could be a rather painful ship for us to deal with since he has a heal and some pretty nasty DPM. Prop mod, of course, trying to get ourselves out of bad positions. If we are in our smoke screen and torpedoes come, we want to be able to pick up our speed a little bit quicker. Aiming systems mod here just because, I mean, the guns seem to be a pretty nice focus of this ship, at least for me personally. You could certainly run more torpedo focused as well. Trying to up the speed on these torps could help you land a few more of them because it's a lot of damage, nearly 24k damage, only 12 kilometers of range, which is fine. But at this tier, well, we know how campy tier 10 meta can be. So maybe having a little more range would be nice on those torpedoes. You're forced to play a little bit closer. Main armaments here, trying to keep our guns and torps alive as well as engine room protection, just to keep our modules going if we get into a bad situation. But that is going to do it for today on the Hayate. I think this is a cool buff. Maybe the DPM buff was not needed or is less noticeable. Maybe it's a minor change, but I think adding the extra consumable, giving you access to both the smoke and that torpedo reload booster is a nice upgrade for this ship and really made me want to get it because this is my main account and I didn't really want to get it before. So thank you very much for watching and I hope you have a great rest of your day.